So Ian, thanks for agreeing to spend the afternoon with us in your lovely garden. This is a great setting for this conversation. I just wonder if you could start by introducing yourself and telling us why you're particularly passionate about the book of Revelation.
Yeah, okay. Well, my name's Ian Paul. What do you want to know about me? I'm an Anglican, but don't hold that against me. Although I was actually brought up Roman Catholic. My mother was an Irish Catholic, but I actually came to faith in a Church of England church, Evangelical Church of England church. And originally come from London and studied maths, and then did various other things before studying theology and being ordained in the Church of England. And why am I passionate about the book of Revelation? Well, I think two reasons. One was that when I was a Roman Catholic and going to an Anglican church, I also went to a Baptist church Bible study group, and we studied the book of Revelation, and we thought this was a bit daunting. But fortunately, the person leading the group said, I've bought a book and that tells me all about how to read the book of Revelation. So we thought, well, great, because a lot of people find Revelation intimidating, they find it frightening, it's a bit of a closed book, maybe they find it a bit fanatical, and very often they don't really know where to start. They don't know where sort of heads or tails, what to start at the beginning or the end, or how to get into it. So we were very reassured that this chap had a book to tell us what we should think about it. And we read chapter 1 and we thought, well, that's a bit strange, but there's Jesus in it, so that's okay. And then we got to chapters 2 and 3 and the messages to the 7 churches, and we thought, well, we don't know anything about these people or these places, but fortunately the book that we had told us that the 7 churches were the 7 ages of the church. And which age were we in? Well, of course, as Christians have always thought we're in the last age. And we looked around, and the church in Laodicea was lukewarm, and some people in the group looked at the Church of England and said, yeah, there we go, it's proof, isn't it? So this is relevant to us. And then Revelation 4 and 5 was about worship in heaven. We thought, well, that's got to be uplifting. And we got to Revelation chapter 6, and then we thought, do you know, it's time we studied something else. And I think that's really common for folk to get to a certain stage and just not know what to do with the rest of the book. And certainly in the Church of England, we avoid the really difficult passages all the time, and I think a lot of churches do as well. And then I was in the funny situation that I really felt God was calling me to do some PhD research, and I felt drawn back to this book of Revelation, perhaps because of my previous experience. And I kind of thought, well, if I can say something useful about this book, then I can say something useful about just about anything. But in fact, what I found was myself drawn into this absolutely fascinating world. I think even if people don't believe that the book of Revelation is inspired, it's actually quite an extraordinary piece of literature. The way it's structured, the way it draws on different parts of the Bible, the number of ideas, the way it speaks into its own culture. And of course, the powerful thing for Christians is their experience is that God has used this book to speak truth and to equip them in all sorts of situations, particularly in situations where they're under pressure, where they're really feeling under the cosh and they don't know where to look to. And this book has resourced them. And I think my passion is that I really want the church in Britain, in the West today, to read it. I think we're really struggling with lots of changes in culture. We've been wrong-footed by all the sorts of things that have been happening in our world in the last 30 years. And part of that has led to a decline in attendance of the church, is that we really haven't found the right thing to say to our culture. And I think that's tied up with us neglecting the book of Revelation, because the book of Revelation takes on the ideological changes of its world, and I think it gives us a way of engaging with all the challenges and all the changes in our culture today. And the fact we've neglected it means that actually we're not as equipped as God wants us to be to speak the gospel, speak the good news of Jesus into our world.
Great, good answer.
Is that good?
Yeah.